So lots to talk about today, but let's talk about this thing that came out of nowhere, as I said in the intro, about Elon Musk and what he wants to bring to Memphis. And Otis, we'll start with you. The announcement Wednesday was with a great deal of fanfare. The Greater Memphis Chamber, Ted Townsend, and all the rest calling the press to the big announcement and having everybody be a part of it. That Elon Musk, who is perhaps one of the best-known people in the world, honestly, is going to make a significant investment here. What is your reaction to how this is unfolded and what's going on?
Well, first of all, you're absolutely right, Richard. It did come out of nowhere. I mean, what's this all about? And I think it caught pretty much everybody by surprise, including the politicians, even though, as you say, and say correctly, they all rushed to say how wonderful this was. And some of them, took credit for it when they probably didn't have anything to do with it. But there are still a lot of unanswered questions. And I'm sort of cautiously optimistic here. We don't know how much money is going to be involved here in terms of incentives. We don't know how many employees will be needed for this facility. I'm hearing it's not a lot of employees. So there's just a lot of unanswered questions here. And I was really kind of taken aback that the governor was not involved in any of this announcement at all. I mean, I wonder what that means. So I'm just waiting on some other details for this, but if it comes to pass, and it is what they say it is a big deal for Memphis.
I do have sources who have told me the chamber may have jumped the gun a little bit on this announcement because typically, yes, the governor would be a part of it and some other people at the state level as well. Here's what we do know, and thanks to some of the reporting from a friend of this show, Sam Hardiman in the Daily Memphian, on the Gigafactory of Compute project. An interesting name, but one does not roll off the tongue by any means. But according to that article, more Musk firms could also locate to Memphis as a result. They expect that this supercomputer facility could employ up to 200 people, which would qualify it for several different types of tax breaks. And what they liked about Memphis was reliable electricity and water supply and fair land prices, as well as the nimble response of officials as they started asking questions and how Memphis was able to be so accommodating. I have to say I'm impressed with the initial take, and then also that they did keep it secret for, because these things leak out to us usually pretty good. Yeah. And it wasn't until the day before that I had a conversation with someone who said, "Have you heard anything about this Elon Musk thing might be in the works?" I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." But the very next day it was announced.
Yeah. I also, like Otis said, really welcome investment in Memphis. Excited about the potential, but there are so many unanswered questions. In addition to how many employees, how well are they going to be paid? There are things that really concern me about Elon Musk's history, the number of times he's been sued over racism and sexism in his enterprises. So there are some things that are concerning, but also could be really exciting. I also hope they are able to work out a wastewater treatment plant so they don't have too much pull on the aquifer. And hopefully XAI will be benefiting MLGW in building out substations so MLGW doesn't have too much capacity.
What's your reaction to it, Tawan?
Cautiously optimistic. I am. Anybody who wants to come to Memphis is welcome to Memphis. Whether we give tax incentives, that is a different story. Mr. Musk has normally economists and business people like predictability. Well, he is the most unpredictable business leader there ever was.
I think that's fair to say. Yeah.
And so I'm not excited about that. And his track record that you mentioned does not excite me. The fact that 1 million gallons of water would have to have to be used per day concerns me because he's really coming for our water. Let's get right down to it.
TDA is a pretty reliable source.
That's right. But our infrastructure is not as reliable, and I am concerned about where we stand with that when we can't even, I hate to say this, but we can't even tell people what their monthly bills are yet. And it's been over 2 years since you haven't addressed that issue. But now, and infrastructure as soon as it rains, we have problems everywhere. So there are
lots of questions.
There are a lot of questions.
Yeah.
He's welcome to come. You can't stop anybody from coming, but you can stop your purse strings until you get some answers.
So there is understandable cynicism on a number of fronts, see if you agree with me. Number one is the track record with pilots and the long
And with
sordid
employees.
history we have here of having these big companies come in with big promises and lots of workers, and then we end up
That's right.
finding out that they're not nearly as big as we thought. Plus, we also have this other history, going back to Sidney Schlenker. Yes, I'm going to say it.
That's the name that comes up.
You know, the billionaires with big promises, planning to do big things to help Memphis, and then for one reason or another, it fizzles away.
Right.
And I think that's why there's some cynicism about it.
Yeah, and that's why you have to have a little bit of skepticism and even cynicism here. Again, not everybody, including the governor, including the other state leaders, they were not involved in this, and so it just wasn't announced in the way that Blue Oval City, for example, was announced with a lot of coordination there. And I think Catherine and Tawan make some really valid points here, dealing with Elon Musk's track record and dealing with, what are you really coming for? I think Sam's story did point out that the percentage of water usage and even electricity usage is not astronomical when it compared to what they provide every day. But it's still an issue here. And that's why you have the Save Our Aquifer people involved, and you have other environmental groups involved saying, let's make sure that this is done the right way.
But this is something that I'm told a number of cities are competing to get, because these AI facilities are going to be in huge demand. It's where tons of growth is already underway, and every last one of them just huge consumers of power and water.
Yeah.
That's what they need to
I'm not
run.
turned on either by 200 jobs.
No.
That's a service master deal, as far as I'm concerned.
Or less.
But like I said, we welcome everybody to Memphis. I love Memphis. I want to see businesses here in Memphis, but you have to be cautious about how you use taxpayers' money to undergird those businesses. And we just want a return on our investment. And I said service master, but they were here and they were gone. Sidney Schlenker was here and he was gone. We got to be careful.
Yep.
Because the next 50 years when we're gone, our grandchildren would be dependent on the decisions we made.
And I think part of the being careful that stands out to me is the aquifer, because even though it's a small percentage, the more you draw out of the aquifer, the more there's potential to draw contaminants in.
Right.
But there's another way. You don't need to use water from the aquifer to treat machinery. You can use treated wastewater. So if they do it right, it could be great.
Well, they
if
even
they do it
mentioned
wrong, it could be very bad.
They're happy that the location that they've chosen is close to the Mississippi River, which could also be treated and could be used as a coolant as well, and not have to come from the aquifer at all.
Yeah, that would be good.
Plus the other thing here that actually probably presents an opportunity for Memphis and Memphis citizens is we need to have a little bit more understanding of what AI really is. And this might be an opportunity for some education around that. I see that the University of Memphis is investing in some...
$1 million.
Yeah, $1 million, and then, although that's not a lot of money, but it's still trying to get more understanding, do more teaching, do more scholarly work around AI, because I'm just not sure. I don't understand a lot of it. And what does it mean for the future? Is it good for us? Some people are saying, it's going to replace us humans down the line. We just need some more information about it. And I think this is an opportunity to have some better understanding and education around AI.
Okay, well, as I said at the top of the show, lots of unanswered questions, and we will be asking them until we get our answers. All right, when we come back, speaking of millions and millions of dollars, the budget fiascos that both the city and county are facing, we'll dig into that in just a minute.